Hey guys. Part 20. This is what if Naruto took care of Sasuke who turned into a baby. Hit like and subscribe if you like this one, and also please check the author in the description. Let's start. Chapter 48. The invasion begins. Much to Naruto's dismay, Muramasa didn't fix the sword of Kusanagi in time for Sasuke's 7th birthday. The blonde shinobi had come to the swordsmith's house so many times over the last weeks that Muramasa had to tell him that he would go to him once the sword was finished, and if Naruto kept interrupting his work, he would personally kick him out of the house. Naruto knew he was being a drag, but he couldn't help it. He was so anxious and excited to give Sasuke his sword. The first Kenjutsu graduation exam was coming, and, if Sasuke graduated, he would be allowed to carry his own sword. There even was a special ceremony here in the islands for those who finally became swordsmen. After receiving a sword, the new graduate needed to go to the temple and name it. The sword would have been the perfect birthday present for Sasuke. Now, Naruto had to wait longer and hope that Chikuto would be ready in for the exam. What was worse, he didn't have a gift for his son on his birthday. "I'm really sorry, son," Naruto said early in the morning, while they were having breakfast. "I don't have your gift with me today. It's not ready yet, so I can't give it to you." Sasuke looked at his father for a few seconds with his serious onyx eyes, before smiling. "It's okay, Tuchan," he said casually and continued to drink his milk. Naruto was genuinely surprised. "Really? You don't mind?" "No. Can you pass me the cookies?" And that had been the end of the conversation. Naruto didn't expect Sasuke to be so mature about it. He loved gifts. This kind of reaction would be expected from the old Sasuke. Maybe his little boy was just growing up. He's becoming more like he was each day, the blonde realized, thinking about Sasuke's recent grumpiness and cynical remarks. A part of Naruto felt happy for it. It was like he was getting his best friend back from their genin days, after waiting for so many years that Sasuke would value their bonds again. But there was something in his heart, his fatherly instincts, he suspected, that just wanted to scream at Sasuke that he was growing up way too fast. It seemed that just yesterday, Naruto had to change his diapers and buy more formula. Now, his baby was all grown up. Gosh. I'm getting too sappy, he thought. Sasuke's birthday went on quite well, despite everything. Naruto took the day off, and Tsunade, Shizen, Tanten, Gaara, Iruka, and, to Naruto's surprise, even Shikamaru had come to his party. Sasuke had been thrilled with all their gifts and attention. The little raven had asked for a spar against each one of them and was happy to learn several new moves with the help of his Sharingan, after asking for Naruto's permission to use it, of course. Tsunade had told the blonde that it would be a good opportunity to train his dojutsu, since everyone in the party knew about it and could help the boy develop it. "How many tomo seals do you have so far, Sasuke?" Shikamaru asked, after his spar. The boy blinked, confused by that question. "My what?" he asked. "You know, those black dots that look like a comma in your eyes when you activate the Sharingan?" I dunno." Sasuke activated his Sharingan and ran to the mirror in the bathroom to look at his crimson eyes. "I have one. One on each eye," he said, going back to the backyard where everyone else was. I see," Shikamaru answered, looking at the last Uchiha's eyes. The young genius didn't tell the Hokage, but one of the main reasons why he had asked her to come to the party was because he wanted to see Sasuke's development for himself. Shikamaru sat in chair and enjoyed the sea breeze and the warm weather while Naruto and the others chatted by the table and ate Sasuke's birthday cake. "This dots," Sasuke said. "They're called tomo seals?" "Yeah." "So, why did you ask me how many I had?" "Huh? You mean you don't know?" Shikamaru asked. Sasuke's confused expression was answer enough. "You have an immature Sharingan. The more you use it, the more it will evolve and gain more tomo, up to 3 per eye. That's a fully mature Sharingan." "3 on each eye?" Sasuke repeated. "That's 6 tomo. I only got 2, the boy sat near Shikamaru and sighed. "I wish I could train it more, but Tuchan said it's dangerous." Shikamaru looked at Sasuke's head before focusing on the clouds in the blue sky. He's right, you know? Your eyes are very rare and it's dangerous if you show them around. An enemy ninja could rip them off or kidnap you. They do that even with other dojutsus. Really? Ever heard of the Byakugan? Sasuke shook his head. Well, the Byakugan is a dojutsu from the Hyuga clan from Konoha. In fact, 2 of my friends are from that same clan, Shikamaru explained. When one of my comrades was just 3 years old, a ninja from Kumo tried to kidnap her because of her eyes. Sasuke winced. They tried to take the eyes off a 3-year-old? Grown-up ninjas really did horrible stuff like that just to get powerful. That's gross, the little boy said, deactivating his Sharingan. What happened to her? Did he take her eyes? No. Her dad killed the kidnapper. But some people aren't as lucky. Suddenly, Sasuke imagined a big, dark and scary room, filled with Sharingan eyes and glass containers. This image seemed so real and creepy that Sasuke felt his skin crawl. Trying to push that vision away from his mind, the raven turned to Shikamaru once more. Shikamaru? You grew up with Tuchan, right? You went to the academy together. Slightly intrigued, the young Nara looked at Sasuke in the eye. I guess you could say that, Shikamaru answered. We were on the same class at the academy, and we graduated at the same time. Why do you ask? The boy grabbed his pants with both hands and diverted his eyes from Shikamaru's face. So you met his rival too? Shikamaru's eyes widened as he stared at the raven-haired boy sitting next to him. He was pretty damn sure Naruto still hadn't told Sasuke the truth about his past or that they had been teammates. It was still too soon for Sasuke to cope with what he had done. It would be too traumatizing for the boy. But apparently, Naruto had been telling him stories about his rival. Yes, Shikamaru finally answered. Yes, I did. How is he like? Shikamaru couldn't help but notice the use of the present sentence, so Sasuke thought Naruto's rival was still around. To answer his question, he had to talk about the past. But how far should he talk? What was he allowed to say? Man, what a drag. He was the class genius, the young man finally said. You know? Best at everything, good-looking and very popular, especially with the girls and the teachers. I already know that, Sasuke said, trying not to think that Shikamaru's description also applied to him, and Riku for that matter. What I want to know is how is he like as a friend? A friend? Yeah. He never really was my friend. To tell you the truth, I never liked him much, Shikamaru revealed, hoping not to be making a mistake. He almost felt like apologizing to the kid for the things he was saying. It wasn't the boy's fault that he used to be a prick. Really? Sasuke's eyes widened in disbelief. Why? Did he make fun of you? Was he a bully? No. Nothing like that. He just wasn't easy to be friends with. He was a loner and thought he was better than everybody else, like no one was worth his time or energy. Shikamaru sighed. He just wasn't fun to be with. But Dad talks so much about him. Shikamaru took a deep breath. What was Sasuke getting at? Why was he so interested in Naruto's rival? I never really understood your dad's friendship with him, Shikamaru said. They were complete opposites and seemed to hate each other's guts. Naruto was determined to beat him no matter what. I guess he wanted to prove to everyone, especially him, that he wasn't a loser. Then, when they became teammates, they had no choice but to work together. He took Asuma's lighter from his pocket and opened, watching the orange flame. Being on a team, putting your life in your comrade's hands, protecting each other with your life, that creates a very strong bond, even between rivals. Sasuke lowered his eyes and stared at his small hands. He just couldn't help it. He needed to know more about that guy. He wanted people to tell him that he wasn't that big a deal. That he and Naruto weren't that close and whatever friendship they shared had disappeared over the years. Please tell me he's not that important to Tuchan. Tell me they grew apart, and that they're not friends anymore, Sasuke pleaded to himself. Tuchan has me. I'm here and he doesn't need that other guy. Shikamaru noticed that the raven looked upset. Hey Sasuke? Is something wrong? The boy shook his head. Why are you asking me all this? I was curious, Sasuke shrugged, trying to pretend he wasn't interested. Daddy talks about him so much that I just wanted to know more. It's no big deal. He does, huh? Shikamaru mumbled. I guess it can't be helped, since they're best friends. Sasuke's body tensed and his heart started to beat faster. Slowly, he turned to Shikamaru, his black eyes wide and shocked. His what? The boy asked. His best friend, Shikamaru repeated with a small chuckle. Naruto would do anything for that guy, even give up his dream of being Hokage to save him. Damn, he would give his life for him if he had the chance. Sasuke just couldn't believe it. All this time, he had thought that he was Naruto's best friend, that he was the most important person in his heart. He wanted to believe in that. Even when Two-chan talked about the rival, Sasuke wanted to believe that it was all in the past and that they were each other's best friend. But he couldn't run away from the truth anymore. He had never been his best friend, or the person he cared about the most. That place belonged to his rival. He was the one Naruto wanted to be with. Naruto would give up his precious dream for him. He would give his life for him and leave Sasuke all alone without a second thought, because he wasn't the one who mattered. Shikamaru was about to continue talking when he glanced at Sasuke. The kid was white as a sheet, his hands were trembling and he looked like he was about to cry. Sasuke? Are you okay? All of a sudden, the sadness in the child's eyes was replaced with bitter fury. He jumped from his chair and picked his wooden katana. Let's train again, Sasuke said. Huh? We just sparred, the young Nara replied, still at a loss. What's got into you? Nothing, the raven said, trying to control his shaking voice. My kenjutsu exam is tomorrow. I need to train more. I don't have time to be fooling around. You already trained before and during the party. Besides, it's your birthday. Sasuke grabbed the wooden handle stronger. Just fight me. Please, just do it. As Shikamaru picked his blades and fought the raven-haired child, he saw the anger and sorrow in his tearful eyes. Sasuke was furious and heartbroken. All his movements with the katana reflected his rage and feelings of betrayal. That's when Shikamaru understood. Oh God! He's jealous! The genius realized. He's jealous of himself. Naruto had watched Sasuke fight with Shikamaru and had been curious why they were sparring for the second time. However, it was Sasuke's birthday, and if he wanted to train, he should. He was most likely nervous about the kenjutsu exam. The blonde was pretty sure his son was going to graduate with flying colors, but if he was too worried, he could lose his focus. Naruto would have to talk to him about it and try to calm him down. Meanwhile, while the raven and Shikamaru battled in the garden, Naruto had a great time catching up and sharing old stories. It was in times like this that he really missed his home and his old life. A few hours later, all guests had to leave to their respective houses. Shizen was fretting about Tsunade's paperwork, Gaara's siblings would be worried if they couldn't find him, and Iruka had a class to organize. Naruto was about to call Sasuke to say goodbye, when Shikamaru showed up with the raven boy fast asleep on his back. Ah? He fell asleep? Tsunade asked. We were training for hours, Shikamaru explained. He told he just wanted to rest his legs for a few minutes. Next thing I know, he's snoozing. You really worn him out, Naruto said, taking Sasuke into his arms. The boy immediately put his hands around his chest and rested his head on Naruto's shoulder. Iruka smiled softly. Who would have thought it? If someone had told me there would be a day when Sasuke would sleep in Naruto's arms, I would think he was insane or perverted. Geez! Iruka-sensei! Naruto yelled. I think you just fried my brain with that image. Everyone laughed. Well, Gaara chuckled and agreed with the sensei, except Shikamaru. I'll summon the frogs once I get this kid into bed, Naruto said, going up the stairs. Wait, Naruto, Shikamaru said, following the blonde. We need to talk. Can it wait? I'll put Sasuke in bed and then I'll go to you guys. No, the Nara genius said solemnly. We need to talk in private. Naruto looked confused but nodded so Shikamaru would follow him to Sasuke's bedroom. Shikamaru watched attentively as the young blonde undressed Sasuke without waking him up and dressed his pajamas before laying the boy in bed. It was amazing to see Naruto behaving like a parent, and not an inept one. After closing the bedroom door, both ninjas went to Naruto's room. "What's up, Shikamaru?" the blonde man asked. "What do you want to talk about?" Shikamaru sighed. "It's about Sasuke." Naruto's eyes became solemn. "What about him?" "Naruto. You have been telling him stuff about your past, right?" "Well, yes, I have," Naruto answered, a bit confused. "How do you know?" "He told me you've talking about it a lot. More precisely, you have been talking about your rival a lot." "I didn't tell him who he was. I just told him bits and pieces of our childhood and genin days because he seemed curious about it." "Really?" Shikamaru asked. "How does he act when you talk about his past self?" "Huh! He just listens," Naruto replied, feeling a bit confused. "Sometimes he asks a few questions about it, but that's it." "Seriously, Shikamaru, why are you asking me that?" "I'm being careful. I'm not telling Sasuke things he shouldn't know, and he won't." "It's not that," Shikamaru interrupted. "I think Sasuke is jealous." Naruto's eyes widened in awe and bewilderment. "What? Jealous? Jealous of whom?" Shikamaru frowned. "Your rival." "What?" the blonde exclaimed. "That's ridiculous. Sasuke is jealous of himself? Come on. He doesn't know he was your rival. All he knows is that you talk about some guy from your team all the time. He told me today and he didn't seem very happy about it." Naruto shook his head. He just couldn't believe this. Maybe I've been talking more about the past than usual. But I'd have noticed if he was upset," the blonde said, trying to remember the many conversations he had with his son. "Besides, I've talked about our other comrades, Sakura-chan and Kakashi-sensei. He never seemed jealous about them." "Maybe because he sensed that your rival is very special to you." "Of course he is. They're the same person." "But he doesn't know, does he?" Shikamaru asked, watching Naruto's mouth slowly close. "In your head and in your heart, you're talking about the same person. But, to Sasuke, your rival is someone from your past who's a threat." "A threat? How can he be a threat?" "Sasuke asked me how the rival was as a friend. He wanted to know more about your relationship." Naruto blinked, completely stunned. "He asked you that?" "He did. And I guess I screwed up," Shikamaru answered. "I told him how strong a bond between teammates gets over time. I told him that you two were best friends." He put his hands inside his pockets. You should have seen the look on his face. He was heartbroken and furious, like he had been betrayed. Naruto gaped. His mind went blank and he had no idea on how to react or what to think. "Betrayed?" the blonde repeated. "I believe he thinks you've picked his past self over him," Shikamaru explained, as Naruto gaped even more. "Sasuke thought you and him were best friends." "And we are!" Naruto exclaimed, taken aback. "For crying out loud, Shikamaru! This whole thing is insane. You must have misunderstood him. I never said anything about his past self that would make him think that I favored him. I'm just telling you what I saw," the genius shinobi said, his back to Naruto. "You can believe me or not, but I seriously recommend you talk to Sasuke." Shikamaru took his hands of his pockets and moved towards the door. Inside his sword, trapped but protected by the crystal so many had underestimated so many decades ago, Nobunaga stared once more at his followers. Each and every one of them thought they were in control of their new powers and minds, and he had let them think that way. After all, they were nothing more than stupid brats. However, they were the perfect pawns for his plan. Ever since his chamber had been discovered and he gained his first followers, Nobunaga had increased his army, slowly but surely, each night. His followers were given simple and easy orders: bring to him every child between the ages of 2 and 17. He imagined that their parents would be worried sick about their missing brood. Actually, he had been counting on it. "Go!" he said. The crowd disappeared into the night with the strength and the agility of the best warriors. All thanks to the crystal's powers he'd learned how to control. Even though he could see or hear, He knew exactly what was happening in the fisherman and the merchants' district. Finally, after being gone for months, the children were going home to their families. It wouldn't be a happy reunion. He could almost see their parents' faces. The confusion, the shock, and the relief after they recognized their precious child. Sure, their kids would look different, but that wouldn't matter to a parent, especially one who thought they had lost their son or daughter forever. That's when his followers would attack. They weren't going to meet any resistance. After all, no parent would be capable of killing their beloved child. An hour before sunrise, his followers came back to the caves with no hint of remorse or guilt on their faces. Quite the opposite, they looked ecstatic and craved for more. Soon he said inside their heads, "Tonight we have completed the first part of my plan. In a few hours you shall hunt down the rest of my army in the warriors' district. Once I have them, taking over the islands will be an easy feat." It was almost done. His army was almost complete. All he needed were the samurai's children. Of course they wouldn't stay children. He had no use for them in their weak and pathetic bodies and minds, but that was why they were so perfect and easy to manipulate. The crystal made their bodies strong, it bathed them with knowledge and turned them into the perfect warriors. Little did they know that they were slowly losing their personality as well, becoming little more than mindless dolls, controlled by his thoughts and wishes. Once all the samurai children were turned, he could begin the final part of his plan. Because one of the children was going to be special, that one would be chosen from the rest to a greater purpose. His resurrection. That child would be his new body. Naruto woke up to the sound of someone flushing down the toilet. Looking at his clock, he realized that it was almost 8 o'clock. Both he and Sasuke needed to get ready soon. The blonde shinobi jumped out of bed, threw his pajamas carelessly to the floor and got dressed. As he expected, Sasuke was already up. His bedroom was empty and he had been to one who had gone to the bathroom. Knowing his son, Sasuke most had used the toilet, at least 3 times already. He always did it when he was nervous before a school test. That thought brought back the conversation Naruto had with Shikamaru the night before. The blonde shook his head. Shikamaru was wrong, he knew Sasuke. He knew his son. He would have known if he was upset because of the stories he told. And why on earth would he be jealous of his past self? The Jinchuriki thought, coming down the stairs. Even if they were 2 different people, Sasuke knows I love him more than anyone else. Why would he think I didn't? Shikamaru got it all wrong. When he got to the kitchen, Naruto stopped on his tracks. Sasuke was already eating his breakfast, his wooden katana wrapped, and beside him along with his backpack. He looked completely ready for the exam. That wasn't what surprised Naruto. It was a coincidence, of course, but Sasuke was wearing an identical outfit to the one he wore when they were kids in the academy. A black, short-sleeved shirt with a raised collar, white shorts and white bandages around his legs. All that was missing was the Uchiha crest. For a moment, Naruto thought he had opened the door to the past. Sasuke looked up from his bowl and saw Naruto standing still by the doorframe. "Morning," the boy said with no hint of emotion, before continuing his meal. Good morning," Naruto answered, moving towards the sink. "You sure got up early today. And you're already ready to go, I'm impressed." The raven shrugged. "I have an exam today, I can't be late. Besides, I can wake up, get dressed and make breakfast on my own. I can take care of myself." Naruto noticed the slight bitter tone in the child's voice and the fact that he hadn't even looked at him in the eyes when he talked. "Is everything okay, Sasuke?" Naruto asked. "I mean, you must be nervous about the exam." The boy finished his breakfast and placed the bowl in the sink. To Naruto's surprise, he actually washed it and placed it on the counter to dry. "I'm fine," he finally said. "You don't have to pretend you're worried about me." "What? What do you mean pretend?" Naruto asked. "I'm not pretending." Sasuke snorted. "Whatever. I have to go." Sasuke left the kitchen, but Naruto followed him and grabbed his arm, forcing him to face him. "Don't you whatever me," Naruto said angrily and worried by the boy's sudden hostility. "What is wrong with you? Why are you so mad?" Sasuke pulled his arm from Naruto's grasp and shot him a look of pure resentment. I'm not mad. I'm fine. And even if I was, why would you care? Because I'm your father, damn it! Naruto cried out. Of course I care about you. How can you say that? Sasuke smiled bitterly. Well, you don't have to, the child spat, his eyes brimming with unshed tears. You can go back to the village and go on missions with your best friend. That's what you really want to do. Naruto's eyes became incredibly wide. Shikamaru had been right. Sasuke was jealous of his past self. He probably had been resenting him ever since Naruto first spoke about him. How come Naruto didn't see this? How could he be so clueless? Sasuke. I don't want to go anywhere, the blonde said. Of course you do. You keep talking about him all the time. You keep saying how wonderful he is. Sasuke's voice was shaking with anger and sorrow. I don't matter you, I never did. All you care about is him. That's not true, Naruto yelled. You got it all wrong. Then why you keep talking about him? Why can't you just forget him? Because I can't, Sasuke, Naruto admitted. He couldn't forget Uchiha Sasuke, and he couldn't pretend that he and his son were two different people. He loved Sasuke as a whole, he couldn't deny either his past or present. The dark-haired boy tensed and paled. That was Naruto's answer. He would never forget his rival. Sasuke would never be his best friend or the person he really loved the most. That place had always been taken by that guy. Now I get it, Sasuke said, cursing himself for his tears. You got stuck with me, when you really wanted him instead. I bet you didn't get me a present yesterday because you forgot about me. All think is about that guy. Damn it, team. That's not true. Of course it is. If he hadn't left the village, I wouldn't be here with you. You would be in Konoha with him, like you always wanted. Naruto's mouth opened but no sound came out. All he could think was that it was true. If Sasuke had never defected, they wouldn't be here. They would still be teammates. Sasuke took his father's silence as a proof that he had been right. All his feelings of insecurity were finally being revealed. He had nothing to lose now. He knew his father's first choice. I knew it. I knew I was the second choice, the boy said, his voice filled with grief. If you love him that much, then why didn't you adopt him instead of me? Before Naruto could answer, Sasuke ran out the door. Naruto ran after him, but he bumped into someone and almost fell to the ground. Naruto? Are you alright? The blonde looked up. Muramasa was standing right in front of him, holding something wrapped in a beautiful cloth. Muramasa-sama? What are you doing here? I kept my word, Muramasa said, handing Naruto the wrapped sword. Here is the sword. Naruto got up and grabbed the sword, felling it beneath the cloth. He looked behind Muramasa, but Sasuke had disappeared. He should be near the school by now. He couldn't talk to him before the exam. Why, Sasuke? Naruto thought sadly. Why do you have to turn everything into a mess? Why can't you ever understand my feelings no matter what age you are? Is something wrong? The swordsmith asked. Did I come in a bad time? No. It's just a family issue, the blonde shinobi answered. I'm glad you repaired the Chikuto. I must admit I had my doubts. The older man nodded. It was a demanding job. I had to be very careful not to break it, and I had to replace many of its elements. The Chikuto is fixed now. All it needs is a new name. A new name? Your son is going to receive the sword when he graduates, right? So he must go to the Itsukushima temple and rename his sword. Why does he have to rename it? Muramasa looked at Naruto in the eye. Because the sword will accompany him in a new journey. It needs a new name. It's his duty as his former owner. Naruto gaped and his eyes went very wide. Muramasa knew. Oh God, he knew. Muramasa-sama, you. Naruto Dano. Both men turned around as a young samurai ran to them, looking as pale as a ghost. What's wrong? Naruto asked. Naruto Dano, you must come to the fishermen and the merchants district right now. Wha? How come? What happened? Oh God, it's a disaster, the young samurai, who was just a month younger than Naruto, said. Everybody is dead. Fortunately, Sasuke had time to go to the bathroom and wash his face. When he came out, he was composed and no one could tell that he had been crying. The Raven followed his classmates and the other older students to the big dojo the school only used during the Kenjutsu graduation exam. The older students were more nervous than the younger ones, because they knew how hard the exam was and had already failed multiple times. Masamune was ruthless. Grunting, Sasuke sat next to Riku, who didn't look cheerful either. Shigeru didn't even wish him good luck for the exam. He had just left to work as usual. Typical. Why did he keep waiting for his attention and approval when he knew he was never going to get them? Stupid, stupid, stupid! When Masamune entered the dojo, all the chattering ceased. The one-eyed teacher's presence alone imposed respect. There has been a change of plans. The exam has been cancelled until further notice, the sensei said, ignoring the children's shocked looks and worried voices. You are to stay here until I say it's safe to leave. The students' questions fell like rain. What is going on? A student asked. Why do we have to stay here? Another asked as well. Why can't we leave? Are we under attack? I guess you can say that, a voice said. Masamune turned around and gaped. All of a sudden, dozens of cloaked figures surrounded them, blocking all the exits. There were too many, men and women, staring at the children with devilish grins. All that was visible through their hoods were their mouths. Invaders! Masamune yelled, pulling his sword and ready to battle. How dare you assault our islands and this school? You shall pay it with your lives. The cloaked men and women laughed. Invaders? Not quite, old man, one of them said, smiling with derision. I won't let you lay a finger on the children, the old sensei said. I will protect them with my life. Yeah! Such big words for a beaten old geezer, a woman taunted. Your glory days are long gone. You're finished. Masamune grinned. Let's see who's finished. The old sensei ran towards one of the invaders, his sword ready to behead him. Out of the blue, the man smirked and a purple entity appeared behind his back. The creature stretched out its arms and grabbed Masamune, lifting him into the air. The old man fought to free himself, but his strength was leaving him and he felt weaker by the second. His sword fell to the ground, as his hands couldn't grab it anymore. His body became cold, and he saw that horrible creature absorb all his chakra. Finally, Masamune stopped moving and the creature dropped him carelessly to the ground. The sensei laid on the floor, next to his beloved sword, lifeless. Then, all hell broke loose. Chapter 49, Corruption. Still with Sasuke's Chikudo in his hand, Naruto followed the samurai to the fisherman district. When they arrived, many other samurai greeted him with somber and concerned expressions on their faces. Some of them looked frightened. It had been getting worse when the kidnappings didn't stop. Even when parents locked their houses at night, even with dozens of samurai and other men patrolling the streets, children kept disappearing from their beds along with their siblings. It didn't matter if they slept alone or shared a room with their parents. Every night, several kids vanished into thin air, with no signs of forced entry. Each day was filled with sadness and worry in those districts. At night, one could literally feel the parents' despair as they held to their children, hoping they wouldn't be taken from them. But they always were, and the districts had become a place for mourning. Now, the whole place felt like a ghost town. Aside from the breeze, the waves from the ocean, and the seagulls, everything was dead silent. Naruto couldn't hear or feel any human presence. It was frightening. As they walked towards the docks, where Shigeru was waiting, Naruto noticed that every door of every house was open. The samurai bowed to Shigeru and left the two alone to talk. Naruto Deno Shigeru greeted with a nod. Shigeru-san, what happened in here? Naruto promptly asked. Is it true that everybody is dead? How could this happen? The Sonata leader closed his eyes, looking as tired as ever. We checked every house of this district. My men are still checking the merchants' district, but I expect them to find the same we found here. To Naruto's surprise, Shigeru's hands trembled and his eyes were filled with guilt and sorrow. You should see for yourself. Shigeru walked to the nearest house and went inside with Naruto in tow. The blonde's eyes widened as he saw a middle-aged man lying lifelessly on the wooden floor as if he had fallen on his back. His eyes were closed, and he looked pale. Aside from that, he looked fine. He didn't look injured. Naruto looked all around and spotted a woman, also lying on the floor near a fallen chair. She didn't look injured either. What happened to them? Naruto asked. How did they die? Was it poison? That's a possibility, but I don't think it was. Shigeru placed his head near the fallen man's mouth. Truth is, they're still alive. Naruto gaped. What? They're alive? How? They're not even breathing. They are breathing, but it's so faint it could pass unnoticed. Here. Shigeru took a small blade from his pocket and placed it near the man's nose. The blade became fogged. It was true, they were alive. How? Naruto asked. If they're alive, why do they look like this? Shigeru shook his head. I don't know. They have almost no pulse and their heartbeat is so slow that they can easily look dead. You could say they're in a temporary death state. Temporary? You mean they will wake up? I don't know. It appears that something or someone has drained their life force and most of their chakra. If they're not returned to them, they will most certainly die. Naruto looked once again at those two people. Who would do this? Who would drain the life force and chakra of hundreds of people in one night? Why? Wait a minute, the blonde Jinchuriki said, looking at the unconscious man closely. I know this man. I spoke with him last week. His daughter was kidnapped. Shigeru stood up and nodded slowly. I know. First the children disappear and now everyone from their district shows up like this. It can't be a coincidence. You think that whoever kidnapped the kids did this to them? Naruto asked. There's no way a single person did all this. Not even a very powerful shinobi could have done it without some sort of help. Besides, Naruto moved towards the woman and checked her front and back. What are you looking for? Shigeru asked. Why aren't they injured? Naruto asked. Even if the attacker didn't need to hurt them, they would still fight him back, right? They wouldn't just stand still while someone drained their chakra. Maybe he was too quick, Shigeru said, pondering Naruto's words. Or maybe he took them by surprise. Does anyone show defensive wounds? Shigeru shook his head, his mind racing with a very disturbing thought. None of them shows signs of a struggle. Their houses don't show it either. Actually, there was no forced entry. The doors were wide open. They let the attacker come into the house. Why would they do that? Naruto asked. Everybody was worried sick with the kidnapper. They wouldn't just let some stranger into their homes. Exactly, the Sonata leader picked the man up and put him in a sofa. They opened their doors to this person and did not fight back, which leads me to believe that they knew, maybe even trust the one who did this. Naruto's eyes widened. You mean, there's a traitor in the islands? Traitors, most likely. Like you said, this is too much for just one person. Shigeru sighed and crossed his arms over his chest. Everyone on the two districts is in a death state, even the homeless. Damn, not even the animals were spared. It was the first time Naruto saw Shigeru lose his cool and curse. He was terribly worried and nervous. Nothing like this had ever happened during his father's or his grandfather's time in power. He had sworn to lead and protect the islands and its inhabitants, and he had completely failed them. Just like he had failed Miya and Hattori, and Rei. Shigeru-san? Naruto asked. What are we gonna do? No! He couldn't drown in despair. Shigeru didn't have that luxury. His men and his people still needed him for guidance. He was the leader of the Unmei Islands, and he should start acting like one. He was responsible, and he should be the one to set things right. First, we need to prepare for another attack, Shigeru said. The children are already being held in the school, and their teachers should be enough to protect them for a while. Everyone who can't fight will go to shelter in the mountains, and then the teachers will also take the children there. Meanwhile, we must prepare ourselves for a confrontation with these people. He turned to the blonde ninja. Naruto-san, I apologize for having you involved in this crisis, but I'd be honored if you could join us in battle. Naruto nodded vehemently. Of course I'll help. Count me in. Thank you, Shigeru said, sounding very relieved. You should go back to your house and get ready for battle then. Meet me at my mansion when you're ready. Right. Naruto said as he walked towards the door. Don't worry, Shigeru-san. We'll find out who this and make everything right again. With determination shining in his blue eyes, Naruto ran to his house, grasping his son's sword. Sasuke opened his eyes slowly and flinched. He was on his knees, that much he could tell, but when he tried to see where he was, he saw only darkness. Where am I? The boy thought, his head feeling heavy and dizzy. What happened? That's when he noticed that he can't move his arms to touch his head. They're tied up behind his back with a rope. What? He asked hoarsely. Don't speak. A voice whispers at his right side. They'll hear you. Sasuke blinked and looked to where the voice was. At first, he couldn't see a thing, but his eyes got used to dark rather quickly, and he saw someone's silhouette. It was a kid, just a few inches taller than him, with shoulder-length hair and sharp, attentive and intelligent eyes. Riku? Sasuke whispered. Yeah, the silver-haired boy answered, looking from side to side. Don't talk very loud and don't scream. They'll hit you if you do. They? Who's they? The guys in the dark cloaks. They kidnapped us and brought us here. It all came back to him. Sasuke remembered being in the dojo for the Kenjutsu exam when those strange people arrived. One of them had killed Masamune, and then they had attacked the students. The Raven remembered trying to fight them back with his wooden katana, and then, nothing. He couldn't remember what had happened. The last thing he recalled was a purple flash. Now that his eyesight had improved, Sasuke realized that they were in a big cave. His classmates and the older students were all around him, also tied up. There were other children there that he didn't recognize, younger than he was. Even a few toddlers. Some were still unconscious, but most of them were already awake, looking as frightened and nervous as he felt. Riku, on the other hand, looked surprisingly calm, simply glaring at his captors. They gotta be the same guys who kidnapped the kids from the fishermen and the merchants' districts. Now, they decided to take us. All at once. Sasuke's onyx eyes widened. He had heard enough from his dad about the mysterious kidnappings and how no one had been able to find the missing children. Just like they wouldn't be able to find them this time. What do they want with us? Sasuke asked, trying not to shiver. What are they going to do? Riku shook his head. I don't know, but it can't be good. How could Riku be so calm? Sasuke's fear was becoming unbearable. He felt his eyes burning and his throat tight. His hands were shaking so bad that he had to close them. He wasn't going to cry and bawl like a scared little boy. Not in front of Riku, no matter how terrified he truly was. All he wanted was to go home. He wanted his daddy, even if he didn't love him. Meanwhile, Riku kept trying to remain calm and cool and think of a way to escape. However, even though his face remained blank, he was too scared to think straight. He had heard his father talk with the other samurai about the abductions and their theories about the children's fate. They all believed that the kids would have been killed. Who the fuck are you? A teenager yelled from the other side of the cave. Everybody's eyes widened in awe and fear as he stood up and tried to break free. What do you want? The teen's yells were swiftly silenced when one of the cloaked people punched him in the gut, and he fell to the ground, moaning in pain. Why do they always ask the same stupid questions? A man said with an evil grin. Don't worry. Everything will be over soon. A girl next to Sasuke started to cry, calling out for her mother and father. Many other kids were doing the same, but they kept their whimpers as quiet as they could so they wouldn't be beat up. The older ones were afraid as well, but they tried to get rid of the ropes unsuccessfully. They weren't going to die without a fight. Sasuke also tried to break free. He had learned how to untie his hands at school, but the ropes seemed to be made of iron and wouldn't move an inch. Everyone up! One woman yelled. Let's move it! And don't try anything funny! They made everyone stand up and pushed them like cattle through the tunnels of the cave. I know this cave, Riku whispered, right behind Sasuke. Huh! It's one of the caves in the children's island. No wonder the adults never found any clues if they were hiding here all along. Sasuke nodded, but knowing where he was wasn't really helpful right now. There were too many cloaked people around them and making sure no one got away. Even if Sasuke got rid of his ropes, he wouldn't be able to run very far without being caught. They made them enter a big chamber. It looked like a temple, built inside of the cave. Right on the middle, there was a big purple crystal shining unnaturally. Inside the crystal, there was a samurai sword. Somehow, looking at the crystal made Sasuke's skin crawl. There was a strange power in that thing. He couldn't tell what it was, he just knew it wasn't good. This was it. They were going to kill them all now. Daddy, I'm scared. I don't want to die. The crystal shone more brightly and the kids cried in fear. On the other hand, the cloaked people looked surprised at the crystal. I found the one, a strange voice said, echoing through the halls. Sasuke tried to find the origin of the voice, but he couldn't see anyone and it seemed that the voice was coming from everywhere. Bring him to me. A cloaked woman moved among the children, in Sasuke's direction. The raven became tense as the woman got even closer, knocking some kids to move faster. As she got right next to him, she kept going. Surprised, Sasuke looked behind him and saw the woman grab Riku. Stop! Let me go! The silver-haired boy screamed, trying to escape her grasp in vain. Let me go! Let me go! As the woman walked right next to Sasuke again, the raven exchanged glances with Riku. For the first time, Sasuke saw Riku undeniably terrified, his light blue eyes wide and fearful, his jaw trembling. The woman dropped Riku right in front of the crystallized sword. The boy glared at her before focusing on the shining gem. A Sanada, the mysterious voice said again. What were the chances? Who are you? Riku asked, trying not to show his fear. What do you want with us? A brave young one, I see. You really are a Sanada, the voice answered, amused and yet bitter at the same time. You'll do just fine. Actually, this will be perfect. My life ended with a Sanada, now it's going to begin with another. Sasuke could see Riku's confused face, blinking at the crystal. Was the voice coming from it? From the sword? Was this some kind of ghost? Suddenly, the crystal burst into light and Riku started screaming. Sasuke was having trouble seeing clearly, but he noticed one of the cloaked figures cutting Riku's ropes. Riku fell on all fours to the ground, trembling and screaming in agony. A few seconds later, his clothes dissolved and he stood there, completely naked. That's when things started to get really weird. Riku seemed to be growing taller. His skinny arms and legs were getting bigger and muscular by the second, his silver hair longer. His voice was changing too, becoming lower as he passed past puberty, and kept growing until adulthood. What the hell? Sasuke thought, his mouth open in astonishment and horror at what was happening to his classmate. Then the light became even stronger, almost blinding Sasuke. However, he couldn't divert his eyes from it no matter how hard he tried, not even blink. The light was making him look at it, and then he felt a horrible heat spreading all the way through his body, from his skin to his bones. It was so hot and painful that he didn't even realize that he was screaming, or that his clothes had dissolved as well, or that the same thing was happening to everyone around him. Daddy, help me! I want my daddy! Do you really want him? Huh! That guy doesn't love you. You know that. Sasuke didn't know who was talking. The voice seemed to be coming from inside his head. Was he the one talking? Were these his thoughts? Tu-chan has been lying to me all this time. He never wanted me in the first place. He got stuck with me because of Nisan's jutsu. That was all. He never really loved me. He can't because he still loves him. Sasuke fell on his knees and grabbed his throbbing head. His voice, kept talking, unforgiving and filled with hatred and resentment. He told me I was his most precious person. He told me that he wanted to be with me and see me grow up. How could I have been so stupid? Of course he didn't. He had a perfect life in Konoha with his team. With his rival, his best friend. His heart was torn with sadness. It was all true. He knew it now. Sasuke had never been wanted. He was just a setback in his father's life. If he had the chance, Tu-chan would have switched me with his rival. His heart is so filled with him that he doesn't have any room left for me. All this time, he wished he was with him instead, because he loves him beyond measure, and he could never feel the same way about me. Sasuke fell on his knees, drops of sweat falling to the ground. His sorrow was being replaced by another feeling, anger. All his life had been a lie. All those times his father told him that he loved him were lies. He and his father were never a real family. No, not his father. He was never his father to begin with. They weren't parent and child, they never had been. They were just two people connected by kinjutsu. Naruto liked to play the hero, which was why he hadn't refused when Itachi had asked him to look after his sick brother. Sasuke felt nauseated. "To-chan, no, Naruto took me out of pity. He has been fooling me all this time, making me think he really loved me. There was never love, just pity. He's nothing but a lying bastard who made me believe I had a family. My whole life was just a charade." Sasuke clenched his fists as anger, jealousy, and betrayal crushed his heart into pieces. At the same time, the pain subsided. His body didn't hurt anymore. Actually, he was feeling better and stronger. The Raven barely noticed that he was growing, just like Rika had. 7 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old. He made me feel like a failure. Every time he lost himself on his memories of his damn rival, babbling on how awesome he is, he made me feel invisible. And he never even noticed. 11 years old, 12 years old, 13 years old, 14 years old. Naruto wanted him to be here all along. He said so himself that he couldn't forget him, his almighty rival and best friend. Instead, he got the inferior model. A second choice, a consolation prize. 15 years old, 16 years old, 17 years old, 18 years old. That son of a bitch. He played me for a fool all these years. I don't fucking need his fake love. I don't need this fake family. I'd rather have died back then. I wish I had never met him. 19 years old, 20 years old, 21 years old, 22 years old. I wish he was dead. Naruto ran to his bedroom and opened his closet. Carefully, he prepared his pouch, filling it with shuriken, kunai, scrolls, everything that could help him in battle. He couldn't imagine what he and the samurai were going to face. Whatever it was, Naruto was sure they would be able to handle it and save all those poor people in the fishermen and merchants district. He needed to believe in that. I've faced impossibly strong foes before, the blonde Jinchuriki thought. People here are strong as well. We will take care of this. As he wrapped his hataite around his forehead, something fell from the closet and touched his feet. Curious, Naruto knelt and picked it up. It was a book with a silly drawing of a baby on the cover. It had fallen from a cardboard box he had inside the closet. Despite already knowing what was inside, Naruto opened it. It was a photo album he had bought years ago, a few weeks after Sasuke's official adoption. Naruto had rented a camera and a video camera for the weekend, and Gamakishi and Gamatatsu took dozens of pictures of Sasuke as a baby, like the one the boy had framed in his bedroom. They had also shot for hours with the video camera, whose tape was also inside the cardboard box. Smiling softly, Naruto looked at his son's photos. Sasuke looked so small, innocent, and so happy. Back then, Naruto was very happy too, but also terribly scared of what the future might hold. He don't squat about being a father, and suddenly, he was one, and not to just any kid, he was Sasuke's father. The friend he couldn't save. He had been afraid to screw everything up and make Sasuke suffer all over again, like he had done now. No matter how much he loved his child, he kept making mistakes one after the other. Being a parent wasn't easy. Naruto knew he was doing his best for Sasuke, he just didn't know if that was enough. The blonde shinobi grabbed the album and the videotape and placed them on his bed. Then, he walked towards his bedside table, opened the bottom drawer and grabbed the framed photo of the original Team 7. This photo was the first he had taken with other people. It was his first family photo. All those times Naruto had talked to Sasuke about his past self, made him feel happy, and remember that bastard had been a very good friend before his lust for vengeance changed him. Naruto wanted to tell his son about his former self, not because he loved his teammate more, but because he wanted Sasuke to know little by little about their friendship before he was old enough to tell him the truth. It never crossed his mind that Sasuke could be jealous of his rival, let alone that he would feel neglected and betrayed because he thought Naruto only cared about his past self. He didn't know they were the same person. He didn't know they had been best friends all along. Carefully, Naruto took the picture from its frame. On the back, it had been written by the photographer so he could know who could reclaim the pictures. Team 7. Jonin Hatake Kakashi. Genin Sakura, Naruto, Sasuke. With a sigh, Naruto put the picture in his pocket and left the room. Sasuke's Chikudo was on the kitchen table, because that would be the first place the Raven would go when he got home after all this mess had been taken care of. Naruto still didn't know what to do or what to say to his son. The sorrow and hurt on his black eyes still haunted him. It broke his heart. They needed to talk. Shikamaru had been right about that. Naruto needed to fix this huge misunderstanding, even if he didn't know how. He would have to find a way. He grabbed a piece of paper and a pen and started writing a letter. A few minutes later, he folded the paper in four and wrote to Sasuke before placing it on top of the sword. There was a chance Sasuke would be home before him, and he wanted him to find the letter if they didn't have the chance to talk first. Okay, let's move. Naruto had just left his house when he remembered something. Shigeru had said the invaders had sucked the civilians' chakra. That would have been a huge amount of chakra. It had to go somewhere. Maybe if he found out where the chakra was, he could find them. Trying to be calm and one with nature, Naruto slowly entered Sage mode and felt the samurai chakra. His yellow eyes widened in horror as he felt more and more people losing their chakra reserves. They were already under attack. The enemy was in their homes. And then, he felt it. Sasuke's chakra. Right here. The sound of the shuriken broke through the air and Naruto moved away just in time as it pierced the ground. It was a crystal-shaped Fuma shuriken. You dodged it. But I guess I shouldn't expect any less from the great Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto looked at his left, and his face twisted with shock. From shadows of the forest behind their house, a fully grown-up Sasuke walked towards him. His eyes had the Sharingan activated and he grinned ominously. Hello, Naruto. That's it for part 20. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.